Joining us today is Assistant Employment Minister Luke Hartsuykyer. He's kindly agreed to talk to us about the government's employment and regional development priorities. Minister, thank you for joining us today. Firstly, could you talk to us about the new Job Active system that replaces the old JSA? What are the advantages of the new model?
Well, the primary advantage of the new model is it absolutely focused on results. When I became Assistant Minister, I immediately consulted with employers and the employment service industry, and what they were telling me was we had a system that wasn't suiting the needs of job seekers and wasn't suiting the needs of employers. We had a system that was mired in red tape. Employment service providers were spending up to 50% of their time filling out forms and going through procedures. What I wanted to see was a system put in place that was actually devoting resources to getting the most important task done, and that is getting people into work.
What about work for the dole? There have been some criticisms of the scheme from some quarters, but are you seeing some successes come out of it?
Work for the dole's already proving very successful. What we're seeing is young people learning new skills, being able to give back to the community, increasing their self-esteem, having a reason to get out of bed in the morning. Many job seekers are telling me that it has changed their lives. So it's been a good program. Phase 1 concludes on the 1st of July, when Phase 2 commences, where it's rolled out right around the country, work for the dole being offered not only just to the under 30s but also to the under 50s.
And regarding older workers, with people living longer and talk of budgetary pressure on welfare spending and pensions, what's the outlook for older Australians in the workforce?
Well, at the moment, many older workers are finding it difficult to get back into the workforce, and many older workers are telling me that they feel they're being discriminated against as a result of their age. What I'm focused on is providing the very best support to older workers to get back into the workforce. I think there are a couple of issues there. Firstly, I think it's vital that from the job seeker's point of view, as an older job seeker, they need to ensure that their skills are up to date and that they're focused on I think conveying to the employer the sorts of benefits that they can bring to the workplace. On the other side of the coin, from the employer's point of view, I think it's important that employers acknowledge the skills and recognise the skills that older workers can bring and the value that those workers can bring to the workplace.
With the mining construction boom coming off and commodities prices looking like they'll continue to fall, where will Australia find the jobs it needs into the future? Is there a strategy to find and promote new industries?
Well, we're very much an economy in transition, and I think one of the best things that you could do as a job seeker is be adaptable and open your mind to perhaps new opportunities. My department predicts that the real growth areas in employment going forward would be health and personal services, education and training, and also other sectors such as science and technical services and retail. So there are a range of new sectors that are growing very substantially. As a job seeker, if you've perhaps been in an industry that is declining, you perhaps need to reorientate yourself, perhaps gain some further training to move into a new area, but it's important to be adaptable so that you can take the opportunities as they present themselves.
But don't we need export-oriented industries to replace the commodities-based industries that we're seeing fall away?
Look, we have a range of export industries that are going to benefit from the lower Australian dollar. We have recently negotiated free trade agreements with China, Japan and South Korea, and we're working towards a free trade agreement with India. These are offering fantastic opportunities for those in the export sector. Australian tourism with a lower Australian dollar is set to benefit from that. So from an individual job seeker's point of view who's perhaps seeking an entry-level position, the tourism industry would have great prospects with a lower Australian dollar.
Cultural diversity in the workplace is something that's been embraced by lots of multinationals and companies operating globally who see it as a competitive advantage. Do you think Australia could do more to encourage diversity in the workplace?
I think we should be encouraging diversity. I think that the key is that we need efficient, flexible, adaptive firms who can meet the needs of their market. Being able to have a culturally diverse workforce also means that they will no doubt understand their customers better, because the actual firm itself will be a more diverse firm, a more diverse supplier of goods and services, and therefore will be better placed to actually meet the needs of their customers.
Today we've just heard about the success in resettling refugees at Nil in Western Victoria. Is this something that could be replicated elsewhere? And is it something that could be incentivised by government?
I think absolutely it can be replicated elsewhere, and I think one of the key things that have led to this success is the initiative by Loverduck and the people at Loverduck to look outside the square and employ people from outside their area, the willingness of the Karen to move to an area that they hadn't lived in previously, and AMES as a broker to bring those two groups together, and the support of the wider community in Nil to make it such a success. The government support should be more building on that advantage that already exists, and if we do that, I think we can really leverage up any funds that are invested by government.
But I want to ask you about the economic benefits of migration and the debate around a big Australia. There's a lot of research that says migration is to the benefit of an economy, and recently the Australian Industry Group called for the migrant intake to rise above the 200,000 mark. What's the government's view of migration in an economic sense, and will we see migration levels rise?
Well, I think the important thing is that we recognise the importance of migration to this country, and that we need to have an orderly migration program that fulfils our humanitarian obligations, but also meets the government's economic agenda. Migrants in the past, since the days of early European settlement, have been an important part of building this country, and there have been various phases of migration from different parts of Australia, and that migrant population has very much helped build Australia and helped build the diverse nation that we have, and helped create the prosperity that we now enjoy. So it's very much part of Australia's past, it will be very much part of Australia's future, and it will be vital to our economic success and prosperity.
Finally, what advice would you personally give to people, especially young people, looking for work?
I think the very best piece of advice that I could give is to take every opportunity that presents itself. However humble an employment opportunity may first appear, there are many stories right around the country of people who started at the very first lowest rung in a particular company and ended up as the managing director. So the most basic employment opportunity can lead you who knows where in a particular company, or to better jobs that are more suited to your needs on an ongoing basis. So never miss an opportunity, never underestimate your own potential, and have a go.
Minister, thanks for joining us today, and thank you for sharing your insights.
My pleasure.